SmallBizPro, that's how we grow. Using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
You know, the more I hear this song, man, the more I'm in love with it, man. This song is all about our mission.
Considering the fact you wrote it. That's a good thing. Our guest is here. Hi, Al. Good to see you.
Al, how you doing, sir? Welcome to the Business Zone.
So we're going to do a little crosstalk here, and then we're going to bring you in, and you're going to tell us about why we should be doing global trading and what's the conference and all that good stuff. We're excited because anytime we look like we're going to be doing some stuff with the diaspora, it makes me very excited.
That's me too. That's me too, co-host. And for everyone who's just tuning in, this is the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. We're on every Friday from 3 to 4:30. And today we're going to have a very, very special show. We're going to talk about doing business in the diaspora, the motherland.
The motherland, which is what we should have been doing a long time ago. But
That's right, man.
And there's some good things happening in the motherland. I mean, I talked to my girlfriend that's from South Africa. It looks like they're getting a new government because they had, their government was pretty interesting. It was pretty convoluted there since since after Mandela. But so it looks like it's good. In fact, she was telling me she was really excited. She was going to be going to the embassy, American embassy, so she could vote because she's a dual citizen.
Oh, they can do it that way, voting at the embassy.
Yeah, it's like the military. So she was excited about that because her family still lives in her family lives in South Africa, and her husband is actually doing business in South Africa. He has energy EV plants that they're developing. They have a company in South Africa, and there's a couple other things that are happening there. So they have some synergy happening. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm always excited about folks doing business, us folks doing business in the diaspora. But did you have a good week, co-host?
Oh man, yes, I did have a good week. Let's see what I did. I did so many things I can't even remember. Well, I claimed that little bit of money that I was telling you about.
Okay. But that's always a good thing. Money's always a good thing.
Oh, for sure, man. I wish I could claim it every day. You multiply that by 365 and we're in good standing, man.
Yeah. I did a class the other day for the Urban League, and it was on cash flow management.
Yeah.
And I said, so basically when it comes down to cash flow management, you got to make sure the dollars are always coming in. No hesitation, slow up, no nothing. Money coming in. Your services is priced respectfully.
That is true.
Bottom line, money got to come in.
And we got to make sure the cash is flowing in the right direction, which is in.
And not slow.
Not slow at all, man. You want that spigot to be on and in a powerful mode where that money keeps coming in, and then when it's going out, then that's when you tighten that spigot. You know, hey, we only want one drop at a time going out now.
That's exactly right. I heard, the trial has been going on for who, right?
Yeah.
So they were talking to his CFO and his controller this week. Yeah. And so one of the things that he does is his thing, his bank account was reducing. And so he called his comptroller and said, why is the bank account? He says, well, I'm paying the bills. He said, no, you don't just pay the bills. You negotiate the payment of the bills.
I got to say this, man. This is one thing I take away from him. They say in life, right? Even a broken clock is right twice a day,
Right.
right?
Right.
Even if you hate somebody, there's at least one or two things about them that you may agree with, right? That's one thing I agree about with him, man, because when I think of that concept, I'm going, whoa. So certain people who I owe money, I don't really have to pay them the full amount.
Negotiated out. I don't know how that works with the telephone company, the cell phone companies. I'm not quite sure the rent. I'm not sure how that works. But I guess if he didn't figure out a way to make that happen, hold on, Mike. Okay. If he didn't figure out a way to make that happen, I guess, man, more power to him. But I have yet to see that you can go to AT&T say, hey, you know what? Look, the bill is this amount, but I don't feel like paying that this month.
I don't really have it this month.
I want to pay less. and I don't want you to carry it over to the next month either.
That is hilarious.
I don't know how you do that, but I imagine he didn't figure it out. So the man was looking quite perplexed.
Oh yeah.
How do you tell the people that you pay your rent to? No, I'm not paying that this month. I am paying this amount this month. So interesting.
Oh man. So that's the one thing I took away from him, man. That's the one thing I took away from him because I'm thinking, man, this is ridiculous. Paying all these bills all the time, all this money.
Right. So that was his trial, and I'm going, wow, okay, that's interesting. But you do have to get your money in when we talk about cash flow. So that was my week. I had taught that class and several other classes, but
Right.
yeah, the cash flow.
Did you videotape it though?
It's always videotaped.
Oh, okay,
everything.
okay.
No, that one wasn't videotaped, but I have done that class before. I did that class for you. When you were over there. So it's video, it's archived somewhere.
That's good. That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah. So
man. Because see, the thing about it is with that information, if you can stream it somewhere else, man, that will be really good and positive and helpful to your brand.
right, exactly. I probably could actually pre-record it, and do it that way if I hadn't even thought about that. But I've done that class numerous time for both the Urban League and for Vermont Slauson. I've done it.
Yeah.
And I probably do have a copy of it somewhere because they send out a copy to all of the people that participated.
I think you probably have it on YouTube. I think because when you did it for me at the Urban League, we put it on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and you type your name and type the title of the class, you should see that video on there.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll check that out. All righty.
There's a lot of videos you have on there and you don't even know it.
Oh, okay.
I've seen some videos of yours. I'm going, wow, my co-host, she got her courses out here. This is cool.
Oh, I didn't know I was broadcasting other than here.
You were live and direct, my co-host. Live and direct.
Well, check that out. Well, I'm excited to get our guest here because there's so much conversation, and I know this has been his space for as long as I've known him. Yeah. This has been the area that he's worked in with the Pan-African Chamber of Commerce. I know we've talked about this on numerous occasions, and I even tell people that it's just so ironic that those of us that are in business, we only look at doing business in the country that we live in, and specifically in the city that we live in. We don't even quite branch out to do business in other countries, actually. I mean, in other states, actually.
Right.
Most people kind of stay local with it, but you really what is the word I'm looking for? You really limit your opportunities when you do that.
That's right.
You really truly do. So, this is a good opportunity to learn about that, and to know that there are other opportunities for us to do business. And I am assuming that we have some skills and some products and services that may not be available in other countries, and so therefore we could actually we would have a we'd have an audience out there.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, so
I agree.
yeah, so we're going to bring him on and have him talk to us about what is going on about the conference. And I know this is I think it's the 13th annual conference. So we're going to.
You mean the Wizard of International Trade?
Yeah. I don't know if he knew he was the Wizard of International Trade.
Now he knows.
So let's bring him on. What you think?
Yeah, let's bring on the wizard, man.
Okay.
I've been waiting for how many years now? Is it 4 years? Because the last time we had him on the show, it was 2019, right? Or 2020. Was it 2020 or 2019?
No, was it 2020? I think actually he
at
came
Morris Media, right?
He came into the studio, so that would have been in 2019.
Yeah.
That was
that was about 5 years ago, man. I've been waiting on the wizard for 5 years.
Hey, Mr. Alfonso, Al to me. How are you today?
How are you doing, ladies and gentlemen? and I am not the wizard.
You're not? Well, guess what?
Think of me as the messenger.
You're
the messenger. Okay.
Get the word out and set people up so that they can take advantage of opportunities. And it's just a question of whether or not people are interested in following up on what the opportunity that has been presented.
I hear that.
But you set the table, put the food on the table, then you sit back and you see who eats, and who
eats.
and you've grown.
Those who don't eat go hungry.
Right, exactly. And you've grown. At first, it was just pretty much you and few people that were in the mission. Now you got Karen Bass involved and Terry Batch, and you've been in. And I think when you first started, it was just here in Los Angeles at Dominguez Hills, right?
Right.
And now you've been in Atlanta, and I think it was up in Oakland at one point, right?
Yeah, went to Sacramento.
Okay.
And then we've been to Atlanta twice, and Sacramento is wanting me to come back.
Okay.
And then, but recently we were asked to go to Barbados.
Oh, that's
so there is an opportunity that we're looking into for October of this year to take the message there.
So when is the Barbados trip?
In October. We haven't received a set date yet. October of this year.
Right.
But
so tell us how. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the goal is to reach out to CARICOM and to begin to set up linkages with the Caribbean through CARICOM.
Okay.
So there's an effort. There's a friend of mine who's from Barbados, who is actually setting things up for us to go. And once we're clear about that, we will announce our trip, our next conference there.
Yeah.
So that's the plan, but we'll see how it goes.
So what started this 13 years ago? What was your purpose, your mission, and the what powered you to move forward in this space?
Actually, there were two things that got us started. One was the fact that in 2003, that's 21 years ago. Wow.
Yes.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
21 years. Where'd that go?
The of it was in a pandemic.
The African Union established something they call the Article 3Q resolution.
Okay.
And that resolution basically acknowledged the existence of what they call the sixth region, which is the region where everybody from the continent lives internationally. They identified it as a sixth region. And then they began to talk about programming that would invite the sixth region, the Pan-African diaspora, to begin to interact with the African Union and essentially become part of its legislative body at some point.
Okay.
Now that has been an ongoing struggle. It has not been consummated yet. There's been a lot of talk about it. But what happened as a result of that, though, was that the World Bank put together an African Diaspora initiative.
Yeah.
And they began to promote the diaspora as not only just a source for money, but also a source for partnering for economic development in the African continent. But time, that whole idea has spread. And with the advent of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which was established a couple of years ago, the continent itself is beginning to look at the diaspora differently. And not only its viability as a sixth region, but it's also its viability in being involved in helping to formulate the Continental Free Trade Agreement and become a partner in its establishment. But what happened between then and now, we got started when a guy that you may have heard about, a guy named Kern Price, you might remember him.
Yes, I do. My
He's
bud.
a state councilman now. Then he was a state senator, and he invited me to a meeting where he was in the process of forming a commission to look at how he could increase trade relationships between California and the African continent. So what I did was I suggested that we probably would need to have a conference that would meet every year to further this initiative, at least keep things rolling, and give people an opportunity to interact on an annual basis to talk about establishing business as well as cultural relationships be based upon what the recommendations of the commission, but also anything else that came up as a result of just the social interaction. But so the conference was born in 2010 with that idea, and we continued it rolling over the years. I think we had 1 year where it was the COVID year, in fact. We didn't meet. We've continued.
You didn't do it. You didn't do it virtual? You just halted it for that year?
Excuse me?
You didn't do it virtually?
No, we didn't do it during the COVID year.
Okay.
Nobody wanted to do much of anything.
Yeah, this is true.
COVID year. So, but we came back after that and did it in Sacramento, and we did it with the help and support of the lieutenant governor.
Oh.
And then, in fact, she spoke at the first one we did in Sacramento, encouraging trade with the continent. And then when we did our second one, we brought some people over from Africa, and they met with her deputy. But we also set up some dialogue to talk with the business community in Sacramento about opportunities for business and trade with the African continent as part of the diaspora. So we then followed up and we did a conference in in Atlanta, where we were asked to come and be part of a trade show that another group out of Ethiopia was putting together called the Numando Trade Show. They asked us to do a conference as part of the trade show. And so we are still partnering with them since that time. They're out of Ethiopia.
Okay.
And they're going to be part of our trade, our conference this year.
In June, right?
In June, yes, sir.
Excellent.
So what
in fact, in about a little over a month from now, a little more support. Karen Bass, as you know, is in the process of putting together a program to increase trade with Africa. And I was involved. I was asked to be part of the committee that was looking into the opportunities that exist and to be formulating the proposal. So what I did was they said that they were looking at probably having the announcement about the program and the program itself in its draft form ready to probably go public in June this year.
Okay.
So I told them that if that was possible, I would love to have them come to the conference and talk about the program.
Mm.
The idea of the program is that it would be implemented next year, but that they wanted to talk about its announcement, announce the formulation of it and the plan to actually implement it. So I've offered her an opportunity to speak at our conference, and lo and behold, she said, "Okay, she'll do it."
That's great.
So she's scheduled to keynote us and get us started on the 17th, and we're doing it with the Port of LA. But we're looking at doing it at the why am I blocking the Crown Plaza Hotel
Oh, okay.
for 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're finalizing that
2 days.
relationship now.
So it'll be the Crown
Yeah,
down
Monday.
Okay.
No, in San Pedro. In San Pedro.
In San Pedro.
Because
Okay.
it looks like we're going to have yes. So, because there's a couple of ports from Africa that are sending over delegates. So if that works out, as we hope it will, we'll be have their ports meeting with our port representatives here to talk about establishing those relationships for trade and commerce, as far as and through the ports of LA and the other ports that'll be here from Africa. So
beautiful.
But that's been the goal all along, just to create this trading network, this business network, using not only the resources here, but also the resources on the African continent.
It's amazing.
Al, what has been I know, as you know, from the U.S. has done business all over the world, but why has Africa, the continent, not been one of those trade partners, and why? Because it seems everything right now seems it has to have been very intentional for the last 20-something years for you guys to even build up to where you are now, where even on a political side, there's interest. Why is Africa different from anywhere else that we've been doing? Canada, Great Britain,
Well,
Mexico.
you have to understand that Africa until recently has been seen as a source for commodities. And what the West has done generally has been to go into Africa, take raw diamonds, raw cocoa, coffee beans, whatever, and they use it as a source to get the commodities they need. They didn't ship it out to Western powers to actually process them and add the value. And so you have an African diamond becoming a De Beers diamond. You have cocoa out of Ghana becoming a Nestle's chocolate, right?
Right.
But all the processing and the value addition is done away from Africa, and so there's been a presence there, but it hasn't been the presence that we assigned to it. The biggest issue that I have right now, though, with Africa, with our business with Africa, isn't necessarily the fact that we don't have a corporate presence, because we do. There's a lot of the major American corporations are actually in Africa doing business in Africa. Our focus has been the small businesses and the opportunities that exist for small businesses to do business in Africa, on the African continent.
Okay.
But we also look at it from a bilateral position. We want to see small businesses in Africa doing business here as well. So it becomes a bilateral relationship, and we promote foreign direct investment from Africa here in the U.S., as well as foreign direct investment from America into Africa, but at the small business level. So that has been our particular niche that we've promoted and focused on. And we've had some successes, but not as many as I would like to see. I'd like to see a lot more, but it takes a little more than just a conference to make it happen. There's got to be a program in place that will teach people how to get involved in international trade, and then actually also then help them engage on the African continent or any place else in the world. So one of the good things about Karen's proposed program, is she wants to create that training module, that training opportunity for small businesses, and do it as a way, and do it in a way that it helps to increase trade relations between Africa and not only the city of Los Angeles, but the state of California.
So if we were to do that, then we will need to put together like a proprietary program to train and prepare entrepreneurs, small and micro businesses, as to how to prepare themselves to do trade in a foreign country, what rules and requirements are needed. For example, they will need to start thinking about letters of credit, letters of commitment with foreign companies, because many foreign companies are not just going to do business with a company or a strategic partner abroad without knowing that the funds are going to be safe and secure in the bank before they exchange products or services.
Yeah.
So we will need to have some of those training programs, which we're prepped to do right now. I mean, here on the Business Zone, Crystal and I, we've done a lot of training in preparing small businesses to become procurement ready, contract ready, business ready, and those types of things. So those are some of the training we would like to share with our foreign partners.
Yeah. Well, there used to be something, I don't know if you remember, there used to be something called the Center for International Trade Development.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that program didn't last very long.
No.
But while it was here, it was specifically designed to do what you're talking about. To not only introduce the idea of international trade to small businesses, but to also instruct them on how to engage.
The SBA was doing something like that. I remember I went through that program with them in 20, I think it was 2020, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that'd be about right.
Yeah.
And there's something like that still is in place with SBA.
Yeah.
Because they still have a relationship with the Department of Commerce
Okay.
to actually engage to do that. You have to call, but you have to inquire. I mean, the one thing that's happening that bothers me is that they don't promote the program.
No, they don't. No, they
And
don't.
it's just there.
Yeah.
And if you happen to dial SBA by accident or something, and you make some inquiries.
Yeah.
But I had a dinner meeting one time with the head of the U.S. Department of Commerce and the executive director for their office here in L.A.
Yeah.
And they literally said what we just talked about.
Yeah.
They said their problem is, they've got these programs, but nobody knows about them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason they don't know about it is because they don't promote them.
That's right. They don't.
So one of the things that they're talking about was how they were going to promote the program, the current program. Just do your current program.
Yeah.
And they talked about getting that started. And so the dinner was over, and I'm still waiting to hear
what happens.
And I haven't heard anything yet. In fact, one of the people who was at the program, who was at the dinner, she retired, and
wow.
I've still got the card of the guys I talked to. I think I might give them a call.
Yes, because I was brought into that program, I guess, by accident. I went there to speak with the regional director about incorporating a program that I developed for entrepreneurs. And he just happened to say, "Oh, by the way, we have this international program that we're starting, and it's a series of classes. I think it was 6 or 7 or 8 weeks."
Right.
And that's how I found out, by accident. So we got to do an intentional approach to outreach and awareness for small businesses. If we really want to grow these small businesses, we got to do that.
Yeah. So, every small business, in my opinion, should have a program for international trade as part of it.
Yes.
And they should also not think that's something that's going to happen overnight. It may take 3 to 5 years to actually develop the program, but they need to have the program. But they also need to have a product or service that lends itself to the international market.
Yes.
And right now in Africa, there are a number of key areas where they're needing business relationships, like agriculture and mining, and high technology and communications and the power and power.
Yes.
There's where they're looking for business partnerships and business opportunities. And we tend to think in terms of retail, markets. We got a product we want to sell or a service we want to sell. But there's also a need for infrastructure development and developing power grids, and because the continent right now is gearing up to get more involved in manufacturing and value addition on the continent for its commodities, instead of actually shipping them all overseas, which is the problem that France is having right now on the continent. They're being they're getting kind of, people in the continent are getting kind of we're tired of France, and they're kicking them out of the governments there, so that they can begin to engage with the commodities and do the value addition on their own, on their respective nation. So, but that's an important area right now where African American business people, especially, can engage, because our cousins on the continent are interested in doing business with us.
Right.
And I was in I was in Egypt the last couple of years, going back in October, and I also visited South Africa 2 years ago as well. And so as beautiful as the countries are, and as rich as in minerals and products and everything that they're there, when you look at the people, obviously it's not getting to the people, right? And the power grid in South Africa is like, wow, they everything shuts down. And they have the blackouts that for most of the evening into the next day, and that's perpetual. And something I saw when years and years ago, when we were in America, where you actually would go and you see the power grids on the ground, and now we don't even know where ours are, right? Because they're all up there, but theirs are right there in the neighborhood. It's like, whoa, that's wow. And then of course the power goes down, and you're like, well, what the heck happened? I just saw the big, but they're kind of old and out of date and so forth and so on. So let me ask this question. So we have the conference, obviously we got the Karen Basses. I know Terry Batch is all about global import export. I know her personally. I know her husband as well. But let's say all that happens and we're ready to go. But what happens to the technical piece, the TA, the technical assistance? How do we get that going? Because if we're looking for black sisters and brothers to be those ones, like Gilbert said, they're not ready for that at all. So how do we develop that piece so that they are? Because they always say that, well, you guys, we can't give it to you because you're never ready. Well, we don't know. There's nothing to help us get ready.
Right.
Well, we have an opportunity to do something that other businesses do all the time, and that's some significant lobbying, and doing it in a way where it affects public policy.
Okay.
Now, what Karen is offering by developing this program is an opportunity to engage through the program in doing just that. One of the things that we found out through having these meetings is that there's a lot of energy out there and a lot of expertise that already exists, and some programming that already exists, that it deals with the areas of investment and financing and some low-level manufacturing programming in a lot of different areas that our people are engaged in right now. And some of it is even happening based upon relationships with the World Bank and with the African Development Bank and with the and even on the African continent right now. There's African Americans in Ghana building housing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's not as though nothing is happening, but what's got to happen is that we have to be engaged in affecting public policy as it relates to Karen's program. So it begins with knowing what the program is, what the plan is for implementation, and following up on the lead she's going to give us to implement it. Because the powers that be, if you will, are pretty much happy with the status quo. They have no problem with leaving things just as they are.
Right.
If there's going to be a change, we have to be the change agents. We have to be the ones that engage and make it happen. But that means there's a lot more than just education and international trade. There's also some re-education in what it means to go and do business in Africa. Okay. Because a lot of our folk here have these negative perceptions of who African people are, or they tend to be Eurocentric in their focus. And that has not changed. I never will forget when I would go to Africa. I used to take trade missions there some years ago, and I would get on the plane. We would fly into Amsterdam, and I'd may have some African Americans with me, and everybody would get off the plane. Any other black folks that were on the plane, and they would go on into Amsterdam. When I get on the plane to go to Africa, we would be the only African Americans on the plane.
Wow.
Everybody else would be white or from Europe. Okay. So, and then when I get to Africa, I'd see Chinese there. Okay.
Wow.
So we have an education to do, because people have forgotten. We've forgotten, or at least we don't want to engage with the continent in the way that we should. A little history, just so that you'll understand how important this is, at least for me. When was the 14th Amendment passed? Anybody have a date for that? I think it was, what is it, 1700?
Yeah.
I think it's around about 1780 something.
Yeah, right. Now, before that, all of these people here who were of African descent, right, were Africans.
Right.
They were not African Americans.
Oh.
No, that's right. We were all African. The Senate passed it in 1866 and ratified it in 1868. So
from 1600s until that time, for over 200 years, it was Africans that built this country.
Yes,
for sure.
Okay. All right. They were African slaves.
Yeah.
Okay. And they didn't give them their citizenship until the 1800s, right?
Yes.
And even then there were problems. I mean,
did we actually get citizenship though? I've heard some controversy that we really never got citizenship, right?
Well, the birthright became the issue. Because if you're born in the U.S., now you became a U.S. citizen, right?
Right.
And so what the amendment did, among other things, was acknowledge the fact that you were born in the U.S.
Okay. That gave you your citizenship.
Right. But the important point I want you to understand is simply this: Africa built this country.
That's
yes. True. No, that's very, very true.
All right. And we have a problem even being called African Americans.
Oh yeah.
All right.
That is true, man.
So there's a need for people to understand the connection that we have with the continent. And for that matter, the opportunities that we have to reconnect, not only culturally, but also business-wise. And the continent itself has programs through their investment authorities that will teach you how to engage and do business in various nations, right? We have a similar program here in the U.S., right? It's called the Secretary of State. And their job is to actually teach people how to do business in California and help them with that. And we have similar agencies that do the same thing at the city level here in the U.S. I mean, the city of Los Angeles. The global program that Terry Batch is associated with is actually a program that was designed to teach people from other countries how to do foreign direct investment here in the U.S., specifically in Los Angeles. But it's a national program. So the problem that we have is that our attitude towards developing these programs has got to be educated, if you will. And we have to understand that, for example, if Karen actually when she puts this program together and it conceptually is laid out on paper, somebody's got to implement it, right? And the question is, who is actually going to take the initiative time to actually make it happen so that it actually helps to increase trade with the continent? So what we're trying to do with our conference is provide a venue and an environment to at least inform people as to what's happening, but to also show them how, encourage them to get engaged in developing public policy that will be associated with making it happen, implementing it, and then sustaining it after we've gotten it started. And I see my friend Greg Sneed is there. He's saying, "Good afternoon, Reverend Al."
Yeah, he's Greg's here every week.
you guys never heard of Greg? I know he's just a small-headed guy.
Yeah, that's our buddy. He does another show with me. That's our buddy. He's our roaming correspondent.
He also attends my Bible study class every week.
Are you at Fame?
Yeah, I'm still at Fame. I haven't left.
Oh, okay.
Still there.
You know, one of the things I felt when I was in Africa, in Egypt and in South Africa, was they felt like, we always feel, we should feel, if we don't feel, we should feel that there's a missing component of us, because half of the other part of us, our culture, who we are, is on that continent over there, right? But I also felt when I got off the plane that they also, and as I engage with people, and I happen to know people in both of those countries, and one of my good friends, his business partners from Ghana, so he was at the event. We were all at a birthday celebration, and it felt like they feel a hole, we feel a hole, right? That there's a void in all of us. Because just like when they snatched us up and brought us here, that left a void in in those countries where they removed us. These are people that's supposed to be there. And, when they were taken the biggest, the best, the youngest, the strongest. And then they left the country with the ones who obviously they didn't need or want, because they could have taken everybody, but they didn't during that 200 years of transporting us. So it's just like, how do we fill that void? How do we come together? And I get you. You're right. We don't connect with them. It's like they're African people and we're American people, but we're not. We're from the diaspora as well. So how do we do that?
Well, first off, we go there, right?
Okay. Yes. That's the first thing.
And actually go with the idea that you want to form a relationship, and it always helps to have somebody here in the U.S. that can introduce you to somebody there, and who will vouch for you when you go, because you need to hook up with somebody that you can trust and that is going to help you to close that link. So there are people that I know on the continent who I can trust for that. Both people from Africa, from America, who have moved there and are living there now, as well as Africans who come to my conference on a pretty regular basis. And I can call them up. In fact, right now, one of the problems I have in my life is that we're 10 hours apart, right? So I have to get up at 3:00 in the morning and receive phone calls because one of my brothers from sisters from Africa, from Cameroon or Ethiopia or Kenya will call me, forgetting the time, and wanting to inquire about something or get some assistance. But
yeah, I had that problem with my niece. She's in Egypt, so
right,
I keep a world clock so I can see exactly what time of the day it is. It's like, okay, can I call her now? Oh no, and she's calling me all times of day and night.
Yeah. But you got to go. You have to go there. And then the other thing is there are Africans from the continent who are living here in the States, and they formed associations based upon their national relationships. So there's a Ghana association, there's Nigerian groups that have been formed. There's groups here from Tanzania, Kenya. They're here right here in Southern California, Ethiopia.
Mm.
And it doesn't hurt if possible for you to form relationships with them as well, so that you can at least get to know and get to personally have a relationship with someone from the continent. It helps to eliminate the stereotype that we have in our mind about what it means to be an African, and realize that Mr. Trump was wrong. All the people from the continent are not living in huts, and they're not from an SO country.
Right.
So
no, the countries are beautiful. I mean, the countries where I was, they're absolutely beautiful. Modern, same thing that we have here. I mean, exactly. Egypt is obviously a little old and it's being redone right now, but it could, other countries that are there are, and you're right. They have the television version of Tarzan, I guess, of what Africa looks like.
So that helps. But the other thing is that you have to, if you're going to go there and you're going to go there for business, you've got to be assisted and taught how to engage.
Yeah.
And which means, among other things, you got to be familiar with organizations that can help you with that.
Mm.
So the Department of Commerce can help you with forming relationships, because they're an international organization that specializes in helping businesses who want to do business in the continent. We can help to a certain degree based upon our experience through our chamber and dealing with investment authorities in different parts of the Another good way to engage is to actually call up one of the consulates in the area, talk to someone in the consular corps from the continent, and tell them that you're interested in, maybe visiting their country or even doing business in their country. And they will and set up a meeting to meet with them, and they can engage and help you transition with that transition. Mm-hmm. One of our successful trips was through to Ethiopia, was through the Consul General for Ethiopia, who helped with business contacts because he's from Ethiopia. So he helped us establish business contacts. He even helped us with our relationships with the State Department while we were there, with the embassy while we were there. So that they were very helpful. So, but that's basically what you have to do. If you have to engage, you have to get up, as James Brown says, get up off of your seat and engage and actually make a commitment to engage. But you should also go there knowing as much as you can about how to engage properly, and you also go there and you're not in a hurry.
Right.
Don't try to get it all. Don't try to go there on a Friday and think you're going to make $1 million by Sunday. Mm-hmm.
No.
You may just going to take you a while to form relationships and to even to establish your business, your international trade program. So that's effective. And I heard you talking about, so the money starts flowing in.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what you're talking about at some point, having a program in place where the opportunity to engage globally can be done through international trade and not just domestic trade.
And you're absolutely right with the connection. My girlfriend is from South Africa, and her brother came here, and he's an educator, and I do a program with kids who I teach kids how to become entrepreneurs, and we're partnered with an organization called Nifty. And so when he was telling me that he wanted to teach their young people how to run artisan businesses, and they needed the curriculum. I brought the two of them together. I called Nifty and said, and they do have international work programs in other countries. And I called and asked, were they in Cape Town? And they're like, we've been trying to get into Cape Town. We just didn't have anybody on that side that could make that happen. So I was like, okay, I got the person. And so while he was here, I brought the two of them together. So today they're actually in the process of training him to do the courses and then all of the interaction. And sometimes that's really what it takes, right? Yeah. You have a contact, I have a contact. That contact is already established internationally. Why can't it be established in this country? And so they made it happen.
Exactly. But the other thing about the continent, at least for me, every time I've been there, I feel free there.
Oh, yes.
I feel free there. You don't understand the suppression that you're under in this country until you actually leave the country, go to any place in the world where Black folks run the country or in charge, whether it's Caribbean or Africa. It's a different feeling. Yeah. As opposed to, and it's like I enjoy being, I just relax there because I feel like wherever I am, that I'm at home. I feel,
Well, I think it's because your color doesn't stand out. Right? Everybody looks like you.
But the culture, there's the inherent cultural mindedness that we have. Even if you don't speak the language per se, you talk to each other because there is a relationship there, spiritual relationship, if you will, that exists no matter where you are. Okay.
Right.
And I've been to South Africa, I've been to Nigeria, I've been to Ghana, I've been to Ethiopia, been to Uganda. I feel the same way everywhere I go.
Everywhere you go.
It doesn't matter where I go. I feel comfortable. I feel free. And it is only when I come back here that I feel the oppression.
You feel the restraints.
You cannot experience it any other way, understand it any other way until you go there. So, but it helps, if you will, for people just to get on a plane and go to Africa, and particularly if you know somebody who's from the continent and they're good friends, and you guys get along well or whatever. Tell them you're going, and they'll help you make your hookups when you get there. And
So when we're talking, I know Ghana for sure, because Ghana are inviting those of us from the diaspora to provide us with citizenship. And I just spoke. Greg and I had a lady on the community briefing. Her name is Yvette Butler Yaboro, and I think that her husband is Ghanese, and so she's establishing a home there. But she was saying that it's open to everyone. It doesn't really matter where your ancestors came from. Nigeria, Ghana is opening up that ability to become a citizen to everyone. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, dual citizenship is what it's called.
Yeah.
And they provide that opportunity for you. All right. So, but again, I would suggest you go there, hook up with somebody from the African American community who's living there now. It's transition. I know a couple of people that are actually living there now who left the U.S. to go live in Ghana. I know some people in Guinea as well. I don't think I know, and Ethiopia as well.
Okay.
So, but that's one way to at least get that ball rolling.
So when we're talking this coming together and doing business in Africa, are we just talking about the East? I mean, about the West, or the whole entire continent?
Look at the entire continent.
The whole continent.
Because the continent itself is divided up into 5 regions. Each region itself is beginning to meld and come together under the free trade agreement, so that what you will have is intra-African trade. So the goal is to actually have the countries begin to trade with each other as they're developing their infrastructure to do the manufacturing in the country. So the goal, what you should be thinking about when you go, is where you want to start. Okay, do you want to start in Ghana? Do you want to start in Nigeria? Think about where you want to start, and then let that process educate you, because there's some essential things that you're going to have to do wherever you go. But just think of a good place where you can go. Like if you say somebody from Ghana, has some good connections there. I would advise you to start with Ghana.
Go with Ghana first.
Go there first, and Ghana's a great place to visit. I really enjoyed.
Yeah, they're on my next list. My niece, who's like a daughter, I mean, she lives in Egypt, so I've been going there. But my next would be Ghana, and then I want to go to Kenya and the east side of Africa. So let me ask this question from and this is for our audience. What is the economic benefits both for Africa and for us as African Americans, or those of us from the diaspora? What is overall? We come together, we learn what we need to learn. We embrace what we need to embrace. What does that look like? What's the utopia of that, Al?
well, the utopia is that you begin to not only have a cultural connection, but potentially a business or an economic connection, and you benefit each other economically, so that your income, if you will, your cash flow increases as a result of the relationship. But you're also talking about the type of business that you're going to form, who you're going to form it with, and that both people understand how to work the relationship. That doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, but that is the utopia, all right, if you will.
Okay.
But the other good thing about it is that as you begin to come together culturally, there's also familial relationship that's developed, and you hook up with people that you can trust and who can help you navigate wherever you go. So if somebody from Ghana can come to you to know how to navigate in Los Angeles, you can go to Ghana and learn how to navigate in Accra, or wherever it is that you might go. But that's the idea. The other thing, though, is very important, is when you I'm Al Washington. I wasn't from the Bradley administration, but I was but I'm the same guy, whoever you are. I'm the same guy. I was working with Diane Watson at that time when Don Bradley was mayor.
Okay, so that's Ken Hicks. He's from the coalition of.
Ken, okay. Hey, Ken, it's me. It's Al.
Hey, Ken, good to see you. Hey, gray hair, but it's the same guy.
Okay. But anyway, okay, he says, that is the relate. That's what you want to try to do. Okay.
So now I'm gonna ask you another question. So,
go ahead.
Colonizer, he said you had a big afro. Colonizers in Africa,
and it was black.
Nostalgia, it was black.
Yeah.
Colonizers in Africa that are still existing, colonizers in America that is still existing, right? What's the pushback? Because obviously, if Africans here connect with Africans in Africa, and we know how they're always trying to keep us apart for this very reason, what's that pushback?
Well, to the pushback from us?
From them.
Well, there are those in that regard who are already pushing back. All right. So when you get there, you might even run into some folk there that are still there from the former colonizers, but who still have some influence over what's happening either in the government or in the business community.
Okay.
But you don't. I just recently signed an MOU with the African International Chamber of Commerce, right?
Oh, okay.
That International Chamber of Commerce is based in Ghana. All right.
Mm-hmm.
We've already started working together to talk about developing programs to increase trade relationships between Ghana and here in the U.S. All right.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there's a group of them coming to our conference prayerfully they'll get over. And the biggest pushback we have found, and even stopping us from coming together, has been the visa problem.
Mm.
The State Department has a very hard time of giving visas to Africans to come to the U.S. And that's one of the biggest pushbacks we run into. Otherwise, there is no limit to what we can do.
Right, exactly.
We
I just wanted
cannot allow the white settler colonial mentality, because it's there, but it doesn't mean that it can stop. It's going to stop us from having our relationships, because it can't. We're the only ones that stop it, because we're intimidated by it. Consider the fact that our ancestors were brought here from Africa, and I'm talking to you right now in spite of 400 plus years of oppression. I'm talking to you right now, and you're looking good. You got your bling on, and you're looking, in spite of all those years of what our ancestors went through. So nothing can stop us but us.
Right.
Okay. So we have to be clear about what we want to do, and work together to make it happen. The continent is standing ready to receive us. We have to be standing ready to receive the continent. And the diaspora is the vehicle to get it done from our standpoint. If we understand it properly, and we understand the role that we can play to help each other, not only on the continent, but also here in the U.S.
And you talked about the Caribbean, and that's another connection that, for whatever reason, we and Gilbert and I have talked about this a lot. Gilbert's from Jamaica, so being able to bridge that, I mean, that's not even as far as Africa. Being able to bridge the gaps from those of us from the diaspora that are Caribbean, doing business. I mean, it seems natural, but for whatever reason, it's not natural.
Well, the biggest problem that I have with our African brethren is they don't understand how intelligent the people from the Caribbean are. These are very intelligent, sophisticated people. They understand the nature of the experience they've had when they were colonized, and they usually are very educated, very business savvy. Don't go in there trying to treat them like they're some natives or somebody that you think that you're better than them. Chances are they have more education than you have, and they have more savvy in international affairs than you do, and they can be very helpful if you work with them. So like I have some friends in Barbados and Guadeloupe that I know I can call on if I wanted to do something there, and I can count on them to help me out because of the mutual respect we have for each other.
Yes, that's true.
And the same with Jamaica too. I've been to Jamaica and Guadeloupe and Barbados, and I want to go to other of the islands as well. But I always enjoy being there. The only problem I have is when you go to those French-speaking islands, I don't speak French. So I got to walk there with my translator, or at least got some way to talk to them.
And the French culture is where if you don't speak my language, I'm not speaking your language. Is very prevalent.
Okay. But you don't have that problem. You don't have that problem in Barbados or Jamaica. People speak English very well. They're very, very, very sharp people, and I enjoy their company.
Most of those French influenced Caribbean countries, they do speak English, and they may pretend that they don't, but they do.
That's true. They compel you to speak.
Yeah.
Anyway, what you're looking at right now on the screen, thanks to our friend, is the website for the conference, and it's a work in progress. Okay, so we've had to make changes and alternate it, but right now, make alterations, I should say. But right now, that's pretty much where we are right now as far as the conference is concerned. So you can go to the website, PanAfricanGlobalTradeConference.com, learn about the conference and our plan for this year in June. And you can register to attend. And we try to make it affordable so that your rate that you're paying will cover our expenses for doing the conference. I have
Nice.
yet to make money off this conference. If I make
Well,
anything, it's usually maybe I may make $500. Maybe.
oh wow! So you made it. So you want definitely the information and the
Yeah,
people
the
to get
information. I'm
there.
not interested in becoming rich off this conference, but I am interested in making sure the bills are paid. So,
Right.
But also I want to make sure that people who come to the conference come and they learn something that helps them if they want to get involved in international trade.
At
So,
this conference, Al,
uh-huh.
will there be representatives from the other African nations
Yes,
that
yes,
we could at
yes,
least make connections with?
yes.
And yeah,
The
okay.
lady right here, uh, Her
Alicia.
Excellency Cheryl Bay. I'm looking at the. She's from Cameroon.
Chantel,
Yeah,
Chantel, bye.
Chantal. She's from Cameroon. She's the wife of the president of
Oh,
Cameroon. So
Okay.
she's coming with a delegation. I'm trying to see.
Is Queen here? Is she the clothing designer that
Yes,
used to have a
Haniva. Yes,
in?
Haniva is going to join us. To
Okay,
talk
because
about
she's
the work.
from Lemert.
Yeah,
I
well,
know Terry.
she's actually doing work in Africa, in the textiles area of textiles.
Yeah, I had heard that she had moved to Africa,
Well,
and
yeah,
we know TJ.
yeah.
In
No,
his
yeah.
yeah,
TJ is our
TJ.
boy, man. That's our
yeah.
boy.
So PJ is going to talk about manufacturing, but we've also invited, and we're glad to have Ambassador Watson attend, and hopefully she'll give us some words of encouragement. And Terry Batch, as you see, but the other people, other men that are there, Aubrey Podmore right there that you see, he's actually from Barbados, and he's the one helping us with our Barbados hookup.
That's great.
And then there are also people are coming from Cameroon, from Cote d'Ivoire, from Ethiopia,
Ghana.
and Ghana, yes, right, who are putting together delegations to come.
There was a
So,
gentleman that we interviewed on this show.
uh-huh,
Crystal, I believe his wife is from Ghana. She's an ambassador
uh,
there in Ghana. You remember? He was on the briefing, community briefing, and
I can't think of the name of it. Yeah, we've
yeah,
had a couple of them. We've had a couple of folks that from Africa.
yeah.
I'd like to see, and maybe Al, we we can, as we're moving forward to this, the introduction and connections that you're saying you're creating a relationship with the African Chamber of Commerce, the business zone being maybe a conduit so that we can interview those from there, bring on folks here in that synergy, because we don't learn the culture, we don't learn the people, we don't physically see them, right? And we don't have a way that we can interact with them. So I would, and Gilbert and I have talked about this on many, many occasions. I actually interviewed the guys in South Africa when we came back we did that on the community briefing. So we, on the business zone, we'd love to be that one of those conduits. We won't be the only one, but one of those where we can engage with them and introduce them to us and them and us to them.
And the small businesses,
And the small
small business
businesses here.
population that we have here.
well,
So
that would be the idea. If the goal would be to actually, for example, using your small business network
yes.
and create a forum where they can meet.
Hmm.
And he has a gentleman named Michael Ofare who has a company called the Investor Hub,
Hmm.
and they're looking at encouraging people to invest there, but they also have money that can come this way from Ghana under the right circumstances.
Right.
So we would love to have an opportunity for the small business community here to
Yeah.
meet with them. Now, the gentleman who's in charge, who's the president of the African International Chamber out of Ghana, Mark Darko, is coming to this conference. So he will
Okay.
be here in June, and he'd be very interested in meeting with the business community here. And if in fact you could even arrange a meeting either before or after the conference, or possibly even during the conference, I'm sure he would love to attend and to talk to him about business opportunities in Ghana
And
and learn about opportunities to invest here in Los Angeles.
And we can also do some outreach to our
Yeah,
small business population to bring
yeah,
them in, have them attend this event. If you have a PDF copy of this flyer,
He sent it
Al,
to me. I've been
yes,
marketing it with
yeah,
our community briefing.
okay,
When I send out the blast, but I've actually, I think I will add a event on recycling Black dollars, and as well as my own platform and our LinkedIn platform
yeah,
as well, and outreach to our network of people. We do have a number of and clients that we've been working with that helping them become, making sure they're business ready and contract ready and bank loan ready, because all of that needs to be in place, right? And so, and a number of them that are in the areas that that you have mentioned. I have several friends that are in the communication space. Some of them actually, I know a couple of film directors that we know are doing films in Nigeria. Quite a few. Angela from Blue Productions and
yeah,
Zarian, they're
yeah,
all doing
film
films,
production.
film production in those area. And for me, that's, I think, like one of the first spaces, right? If you're looking at international movies and episodes and series, and I do a lot of that with the with Nigeria, with Nollywood, you learn a lot, and there's some amazing storylines. But more importantly, you see that they're no different than us.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you see the influence of our culture, our American culture, Black American culture, in them, the way they dress, the way they interact, the way they speak, of course, the rapping and all of that, the dancing. You see that there's kinship and there's a symbiotic relationship. We haven't closed the gap, right? And so I applaud the media on trying to bridge that gap.
Yeah, but look, folks, I have to go.
Okay.
I've got to make a run.
Well, thank you
Crystal, I
so much.
appreciate you. And it's good seeing you again, brother. I remember you from our last meeting some 4 or 5
yes.
years ago. You're a little heavier now. You have a little weight on you.
you can see that through the screen.
You've been eating good in California.
Man, I thought I was doing well to hide it, man.
No. Television makes you
bust
look.
me.
Television makes you look,
Right,
bigger.
exactly.
And
At least 20 pounds more, right?
Just don't eat any of Greg Sneed's food, because
I know, man. I've been staying
there.
away from it.
But look, I appreciate the opportunity. Hopefully we can have some people show up at the conference. Go to the website for updates.
Yes.
And by about the 19th or so, I think everything will be in place for how we're going to proceed.
Yeah,
in
definitely.
June with this conference.
And let us know, what that connection, that if we invite people over or have that person speak. It doesn't matter. Okay.
Because people will be people who's shining shoes right now might be inspired to become a technician or a filmmaker. So
okay, all right.
Let them meet the folks. It's about interaction,
Yeah, we definitely want to interview a few of those folks on our podcast there live. So
okay,
that would be great.
Thank you, Al.
Sir.
We appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Okay.
Look forward to seeing you at the conference.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye. Have a good weekend. Happy Mother's Day to your wife.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All righty.
Well, that was a great interview. I loved it. We identify some spots and some opportunities there. I think, some of these people on this list, at least 3 or 4 of them we can interview, right?
Yeah, actually, I've been working on Terry Batch. And TJ is always, all I have to do is pick up a phone call, but maybe meeting with some of the other guys, the Aubrey Padmore, Maybe we can see how we can find,
How
get
about
a
Alicia
connection.
Clark? She looked familiar. Alicia Clark on there.
Yeah, I don't know her. I don't believe, but let me see if anybody else I know knows her. Terry may know her because Terry is really space in this space.
All right.
Is really involved in this space as well. Let's see, Ken.
How about the international man Greg Sneed? He doesn't know anyone. You have to, you have to send him back to Trinidad.
Well, we have to find out. He knows he's had a beef patty yesterday. Oh my. But yeah, no, this is very, very important. And he's right. When I went to you do feel different when you're on another continent. You know that even in Jamaica, right? You don't.
Yeah.
Your color doesn't get there before your personality gets there.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
guess that's the best way to put it, right?
Yeah.
And when you're in countries that they don't see your color as a threat, then
Yeah.
yes, you can let your guard down and you can feel like you can breathe. So that's very important. And I'm with Al. Everyone should make a journey over there. And I know I have a lot of friends that have been to Africa of late. And actually, there's a young lady. Her name is Lori. Lori has a youth program, and she goes to Ghana. Like, in fact, I think she just got back. And I've talked to her. And then there's some other friends of mine that have actually packed up and moved and gone to Ghana as well.
Yeah.
They don't see your color, but they do see. Yes, they do see that you're an American, but that's not always a bad thing for them, depending on where you are. They actually kind of like that, I think. But I think they also are looking to see how, as our cousins, that we can come together. We can all come together to work together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting. And folks, for those of you who are just tuning in, this is the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. We're on every Friday from 3 to 4:30. And we cover all things small business. Every week we bring you a different topic, a different guest. If we have no guest, then we'll do class in session, which means we go over certain courses or certain programs that are germane to a small business growth, development, and expansion. And it could be anywhere from leadership, management, it could be procurement, how to obtain government contracts, how to become certified, how to set up your back office, how to do your bookkeeping and accounting, and also prepare yourself for taxes. So there's so many things that we do here on the Business Zone, guys. And this program is designed for small and micro business. And we really provide you some tools, some key tools that you don't really learn in the classroom if you're going to a college or a university somewhere, because we're giving you hardcore world experience that we know as entrepreneurs, things we learn in the trenches out there. So think about it, guys. The This African Diaspora Summit is coming up in June, co-host. What date is it and where will it be
It's
held?
June 17th through the 20th. And it is being held at, I think the first day is being held at the Port of Los Angeles in Berth 93. And then after that, they will be at the Crown Royal. Yeah.
Where's that? Where's the Crown Royal?
In San Pedro. So mostly everything is taking place in San Pedro.
Okay. So I think we need to start setting up our connections over there as far as doing the podcast live, because we're we'll do that. We'll do that.
Yeah, because I got it's right smack dab in the middle of my community biz camp, but I have to make some arrangements to work that out. But but we'll talk about it off air. But definitely, guys, if you've been looking at and thinking about and really wanting to know how do you go about doing business and growing a business and trade in Africa, you really want to participate or visit, sign up and get your ticket for this conference. I have a good friend, and he has been doing business in Africa pretty much all his life, actually.
Yeah.
He's owned a club there in the past, but now he actually has set up some relationships in Ghana, in South Africa. I think there's some other countries that they're doing business with in the continent of Africa. So that's kind of where his business kind of stems. And he is, as Al said, he is his areas is power and mining. And so power grids in, just like in Jamaica,
Very
power
important.
is right is and so we have some incredible engineers that are here.
Mm-hmm.
Even amongst our peers, we know
Yeah.
some people that are doing some amazing things in construction and so forth. And so they definitely should look at educating themselves in the areas that's needed. So power, mining, communications. I think he said I think I talked to somebody one time before, and just tires. They don't even know what they got, tires stacked up on the side of the road. So maybe recycling and converting those into some other sustainable type of products.
Renewable energy.
Renewable energy. I know in Egypt everything is kind of predated. I mean, when you look at it, you're like, wow. They're so behind in some of their technologies, mainly because the people were not educated in that space. That's a country that's a hospitality country. Ghana, Kenya, those countries are much more metropolitan. Nigeria is definitely much more metropolitan than some of the other countries that are there. So there is truly opportunity. So if you can't make it happen here, then you need to learn about how you can make it happen there. Greg said anyone with expertise in running high powered electrical lines can pretty much find work anywhere in the world. And some countries offer free or discounted land. So we need to expand our horizons and see where there's a bigger marketplace for us. And it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. Heck, it almost costs you the same to fly to Africa as it does to New York. By the time you finish with all the baggages.
I think going to this event will be very educational because you get to meet some of the folks from that area.
Mm-hmm.
And we can ask them all kinds of questions. We can talk with them and find out, how we could team up and do business with them. Mm-hmm. So part of what we'll do on this show, co-host, is do some outreach to potential businesses and invite them to that event. And of course, we will be broadcasting live there. So we get to showcase what we're doing there. We get to speak with some of the key players like TJ Lofting and others.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be great.
Okay. And if you guys go over to the website, which is the Pan-African Global Trade Conference.com, there's some segments. If you're looking, maybe you just want to be an investor in that in the movement, the growing businesses and trade in Africa. So there's a questionnaire that's there. But I think there's a lot of information that's available. There's going to have sponsors and exhibitors. So, find out what that looks like, and then see what that, how you can, how it can be beneficial to you. And if nothing else, how does it open up the channels for education and awareness to the opportunities that are there on the continent between you and the continent. And it says here, Africa has at least 345 countries with revenues of 1 billion or more. And what's happening over here? Of 1 billion or more, and roughly 40% of which are headquartered in South Africa. South Africa is, especially in Johannesburg, that is like an international capital of South Africa. So, there's major businesses being done there, on a corporate and investors, and just a lot of money flowing in that country. Period. So,
did they state what the gross domestic product is for that nation?
No, but I think maybe I think we may have a guest next week. If not, maybe that might be our show, to do some research on what the opportunities are and how people can identify where they fit in that space.
Sounds like a plan. Co-host.
All righty. So we're going to shut down for the weekend, but I do want to tell you guys, Sunday is Mother's Day. So many of us are blessed to many people are blessed to still have their mothers. Right. Some of us are not. And so, use that day to support and uplift women. Right now, women are really getting it's something else going on with how some people are embracing or not embracing women. So women do need uplifting and support. So go out, give your parent, your mom a hug, your children a hug, moms, and know that's a blessing if you still have your mom. Some of us really wish we would have. I know myself, my mom passed away a number of years ago in 2006. Gilbert, you lost your mom in
2018.
2018, Greg lost his mom. So, give that mom a hug. And all the women that are out there that are moms, surrogate moms, aunts, give them a hug too, because they're part of the village to making sure our children are well taken care of. So,
and instead of just buying flowers, cook her a meal, cook her some dinner on that day, guys. She will definitely appreciate that. Just kicking back and being pampered.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Or what you can do is you can go to Costco's and get you one of those spa finders, send her to the spa on that day.
What you call it? Go Shay Costco's?
Yeah, Shay Costco's. Get you a spa finder gift card, and send her to one of those spas, so they can pamper her, give her a massage, do her feet, do her head.
Yeah, show her all that love, because they deserve it. Mom, we've talked about that many times. Women and moms, woof, they are something else. I don't know how my mama did it, but she did it.
Yeah. That's why we love and cherish them so much.
Yes, exactly. So you guys have a happy, happy Mother's Day for all our listeners and all the women that are out there. And next month, guys, we'll give you your flowers as well, because that'll be Father's Day.
I can't wait.
You can't wait. All right, guys. So we're going to sign off and have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself.
Definitely.
Take a time and relax.
We'll see you guys next week, guys. And again, tune in every week here on the Business Zone, live on YouTube, live on Facebook, live on LinkedIn from 3 to 4:30 every Friday. This is the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, and we are out.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.